terms of technology skills for the team, I think very much there's actually sort of a new version of law which is emerging, which will change the way we practice law. It will change the environment in which we work in. And whilst I personally don't subscribe to the view that lawyers should be coders, they absolutely need to understand how the code has got to the decision it has. So I think for me, it's actually not so much about tech skills, but I think it's actually going to be more about the mindset that needs to evolve. There's so much kind of brilliance in our sector, and lawyers, and I think particularly lawyers in-house, they develop such a great range of transferable skills. I think that's actually what's going to really come to the fore in the future. So it's a case of being, I suppose, tech savvy, but still focusing on the human element, which will actually complement the tech and make it better. And I think absolutely key to that is not standing in the way of change. Particularly with AI on the horizon, we hear a lot of words, fear, our lawyers' jobs going to disappear. But actually, this is about kind of embracing the change and then fostering it so that you really understand the opportunities that the innovation can bring. So I think the brilliant thing that I've noticed recently is there's a huge explosion of free learning and development tools and courses that are available. There's a lot of the legal tech providers which are providing kind of the foundations in general legal tech. There's more specific ones around actual innovation and skills. So I think signing up to those and just using your time to actually work through those can really start to help open your eyes to actually what's going on in sort of the tech space for legal teams. I think the other thing that's really useful, and actually something we also introduce when we actually implement something within our team, is actually collaborating with other teams. You quite often find, particularly in, for example, our IT team, works in some ways in a very similar way to us. So actually speaking to them, learning about the tech they use, what they like, what they don't like, is a really good way of actually starting to get some insight into the tech platforms that are available and how people use them. But I think above all, it's be curious and actually don't be afraid to experiment. I think tech can feel very intimidating. A good example for me is I don't have a creative bone in my body. So when I heard about the Midjourney AI app that came out, I was straight onto that, just trying to experiment with it. I genuinely didn't have a clue what I'm doing, but just trying new things, you learn as you go. And I think that's a really important thing for a lot of the tech that's coming out. There's so much great tech out there, and it's very easy to get seduced by what's shiny. But obviously, whatever tech you choose has to work for the team. It's got to solve your problem, make life better, all of those things. But actually, I think the one thing that is always critical to its implementation by the team, but actually its adoption by the business, is you've got to think about what works for the business. And ultimately, in our experience, what goes to the heart of that is never ever underestimate the importance of convenience for the users. So a great example with one of the platforms we've recently just implemented is, we need people to use it, otherwise there's no point in having it. And a lot of our business users, they'll be out on the road, maybe they only have access to a mobile or a laptop. One of the biggest pushbacks we always get back is, oh no, not another username, not another password. So when we were doing our most recent tech implementation, two of the things that was absolutely key was ensuring that one, whatever the platform we used actually rendered properly to mobile, so people could actually use it whilst they were out and about, and then actually having a single sign-on function. And it sounds really simple, but it's just that convenience piece that really helps kind of really sell the platform into the business, I think. There's always a lot of discussion about productivity, which obviously is very important, but I think it's also as much about the opportunity for growth and actually adapting to change. So for me, using the tech that we have for actual data and insight is really important, and that goes beyond just having a really shiny, exciting dashboard and then reporting it up into the exec-co or whatever that might be. It's actually about spotting trends in your workflow, the business habits and areas of risk. So it's kind of helping you create a heat map also. And I think in doing that, it then allows your team to be proactive rather than reactive, which I think is a state of mind that a lot of legal teams kind of, desperately find themselves just firefighting rather than being able to go out into the business. So I think if you use that data and insight, what you can actually do is the team can be going out to start the conversation and driving kind of some of the strategic objectives in a different way, rather than waiting for someone else to actually invite them to a conversation.